Hello students, I hope you're all staying safe at home and then following the lessons. Welcome to another class. Today we will be doing with Class 12 Education. So the title of the lesson is Growth and Development. That is the second chapter in your textbook. Students, in your during the last session, during the last class, you studied about educational psychology, isn't that? There, in the first chapter, if we can have a quick recap of whatever that you studied till the last class, then human life is divided into two aspects, isn't it? First one is the biological aspect, the second one is the sociological aspect, So, these two aspects, the first one, biological aspect, is taken care of by nutrition and reproduction, right? And the second aspect, that is the sociological aspect, is taken care of by education, right? So that is what we learn. And then Mahatma Gandhi said that by education, I mean all-round development of the child, body, mind and spirit, right? So all these three aspects is developed through education. So that means a human being is refined into a fine individual through education, right? We all go to school, we all learn new things, we learn new information and knowledge. That is how it refines our behavior, isn't it? So that is education. And then you must be wondering, why educational psychology? So, for example, educational psychology. Why these two terms we use it together? For example, let's just cut this for a moment and think about this. If we only focus on education, then what about the mind? Because the meaning of psychology is study of the mind or the soul, isn't it? It is derived from two Greek words, psyche and logos. Psyche means soul and then logos means science, isn't it? So without studying the mind, because we all need our brain and mind to study and go to school, isn't it? That is why educational psychology, they go hand in hand. Okay. And in your previous class also, we learned about different branches of psychology, right? In your textbook, there are 11 branches that is given. Some of them are the cognitive psychology and then the child psychology, adolescent psychology, clinical psychology. All those are some of the examples of the different branches of psychology, right? So today, we proceed on to growth and development. So, it is said that for any teacher or individual or parents, it is very important to understand what is growth and what is development. So now what is growth? You are in class 12 and you are in the adolescent stage. So you are not the same as you were in class 5 or 6 or when you were a baby, isn't it? Yes or no? So you have grown in your height, you have grown in your weight also, your hair color must have changed, your skin color must have changed a little bit, right? So that is growth, right? And then development is much more than growth, it seems. Of course, growth is a part of development, but it is said that development is a much more broader aspect of growth, right? So see, I'll give you an example. For example, this is the individual and it is divided into different aspects. One may be the emotional aspect, the things that you feel, you get angry, you feel sad, you feel happy, isn't it? So those are the emotional aspect. The physical aspect is the height that you're growing, the weight that you're gaining. So all those are the physical aspect, something to do with biology, isn't it? And then sociological aspect. So sociological aspect would mean your family, you all have a home and then you have parents at home, you try to adjust and mingle with your siblings at home, right? And then in the school also you have friends, you try to adjust with your teachers, your new environment, right? So all this intermingling helps you to how to go about in society. It teaches you, isn't it? So that is the sociological aspect. And then the psychological aspect to do with your thinking, your behavior. So all this combined together is development, okay? Development is very broad. Development is very broad, and growth is just a small part of development, it seems. That means only the physical aspect. Because growth here, I say that it is the physical aspect and something that you can see, the quantitative aspect, isn't it? So that is growth. And overall, if we try to study the human individual aspect, then that will be development, okay? So if you understand this, then the lesson will be more easier for you, all right? And as the lesson goes about, as the topic goes about, students, you will find that sometimes growth is understood separately in a separate meaning. And then development is also again taken out separately. And then sometimes it is understood in a joint manner, right? And then sometimes it is understood by their difference. Okay, so every now and then it is always interchanging. But initially, the first thing that you have to know is the meaning of growth and development. That means growth we can see, development we cannot see. We can just observe and we can assess, right? So that is the overall general meaning of growth and development. If you can have your textbooks with you, page number 14. So here in page number 14, the first paragraph, the second paragraph, the meaning of the words growth and development is understood interchangeably. Like I said earlier, it is understood interchangeably and both are related with one another, okay? And then terminology-wise, growth means increase and enlargement of the body or some parts of the body. So see, this is to do with a physical thing, isn't it? Example, body has become heavier or larger. And if you look at the meaning of development, development means more advancement, greater unfolding, and going forward to a greater maturity. That means if you look at the definition of development, then it is much more broader compared to growth, right? So as you go about the lesson, as you go about the chapter, you will understand, right? And here, in the next page, you can see some definitions given by some psychologists and researchers, okay? So the Encyclopedia Britannica defines growth as an increase in size or the amount of an entity. That means an increase in the body amount, okay? So that was the definition given by Encyclopedia Britannica. And then Herlock, another psychologist, Herlock has given a very nice definition of the term growth. Growth means here change in size, proportion, disappearance of old features, and acquisition of new ones. So when you grow, you don't look like the child that you were when you were small, isn't it? When you grow, your physical appearance also changes, right? So that is growth. And then some of the characteristics characteristics here would mean some of the features or the common things that you can find in the term growth is it is hereditary. Here, hereditary would mean something that you acquire from your parents, okay? So, sometimes you might have heard someone saying that, oh, you look just like your father, or you're similar to your auntie, right? So it means that you have inherited the genes from your parents and your family members, okay? That is the reason why you all look similar, right? So, growth is hereditary. And then physical factors play a dominant role. See, I told you about growing in height and becoming larger in size, and then the change in your skin tone, color. So those are the physical aspects, right? So in growth, the physical aspect plays a very dominant role, okay? And then Growth stops at a particular time. This is very important. It is said that in the characteristics, it is said that growth stops at a particular time. So, see, you must be in the age group of around 16 to 18 years of age, isn't it? So, around till 21 years of age, you will grow. Your body will grow. Your voice will become husky. You will become taller. And then, your change in hair color and skin tone will also happen. But around the age of 21, 22, you will stop growing. That means your mind will be there, it will be normal, it will still be growing, and then all the emotional and then sociological aspects, you will be moving forward, but your body will stop growing, right? And then growth rate is distinct and unique. I say that growth stops after a certain point of time in your life, isn't it? You don't grow till the age of 70, 80 years. You stop growing physically after a certain point of time. That means the rate of growth is distinct and unique. That means we can keep a track of where the growing part is stopping or where you are growing. We can keep it is observable and we can watch you grow. And then individual difference in growth is apparent and obvious. So see, some people are a little shorter than some other individuals, isn't it? So that means the growth rate is different from each individual, right? And then if you look at the definition of development, here Skinner has given the definition of development as development is a continuous and gradual process. So here the word continuous and gradual is very important. Continuous and gradual. So see, continuous means never stopping. It is always continuing. It is always happening. So I told you that growth stops after a certain point of time, isn't it? But for development, it is not like that. It is always continuing. And then gradually. Here, gradually would mean not very fast, but at a slower rate, right? So development is continuous. It continues at a certain rate and it is also gradual. That means slowly, but it is always continuing and progressing, okay? And then, if you look at another definition, the fifth definition given by Giesel. So here, he says that development is more important than ordinary change. Development can be observed to a certain extent. It can be measured and evaluated. Its evaluation and measurement can be done in three ways. The first one is anatomic, the second one is physiological, and the third one is behavioral. Behavioral science provide elaborate indices of the individual's power and his level of development. So see, here Giesel has given a very elaborate, very detailed definition of the term development, okay? So here he says that development will take place in three aspects. The first one is anatomic. Here, anatomic here would mean the structure of the body. So in your body also development is going on. And then physiological here would mean your physical aspect. That means the organs, your sense organs, and all those are developing, isn't it? So that would mean the physiological part. And then behavior. So the way that you act or talk with others or behave in a certain manner, that is your behavior, isn't it? So those things can be observed. So Giesel's definition of the term development is very detailed, okay? And then if you look at the definitions of growth and development, then it'll be very good from your exam point of view also if you can memorize 2 to 3 definitions, so that when you write the long answers, if it is accompanied by the definitions, then it'll fetch you more marks. And here, if you look at some of the aspects of development, the physical aspect, that means change in the body, brain, your sensory organs, and then your capacity and your motor skills. Here, motor skills would mean the movement, your movements of your hands, your legs, and your body movements. Those are known as motor skills. So here, that is the physical development. And then intellectual development. Here, intellectual development would mean your cognitive aspect. So here cognitive aspect would mean your thinking power, your reasoning power, and then your usage of language also. See, usage of language also very important, because only after understanding the meaning or when to use what kind of language or words, then only you use it, isn't it? So for language usage also, while you're speaking, you use a lot of your cognitive aspect. Okay. And then personality and social aspect. So here, personality would mean, the behavior that you portray to others. So that is your personality. So psychologists are of the opinion that each individual's personality is different from the other, right? And then psychology is a positive developing science, because it is still not yet developed, because psychologists, they each and every time that they do research, they find very unique things about the human behavior. Okay, that is why it is not fully developed, but it is still developing. That means we're finding out new things every time. And then when you go to the sociological aspect of your development, that means here, like I said, the way that you behave in your family, your home, your school, with your friends, all those are your society, isn't it? So the way that you behave there will be your social development. And then here, moral. Another one is moral. Moral here means the ability to choose between right and wrong. Okay, so right from your childhood days, you were taught good manners in your home and your school, right? So now that you are a mature adolescent, now that you are an educated student, you know when to react, and then you know the difference between right and wrong, isn't it? So that is your moral development. And then the last one of the aspects of development is the spiritual aspect. Okay, so when I say spiritual aspect, it doesn't refer to just one religion. Okay, so we have different religions like the Christianity, the Islam, the Hinduism, the Buddhism, right? So each religion talks about a sacred being, a higher being who is more greater than the human beings, right? So each religion talks about that, and then each religion also talks about the soul, isn't it? So there is an unconscious being who is always there with us. So those are your spiritual aspects, and then you really respect and regard them, isn't it? You cannot show it to others, but deep inside you, you understand that you have a soul which is sacred to you, right? So that is your spiritual development. So see, I told you that development is much more broader than growth, right? So that is why when you even look at the aspects also, it is not just the physical aspect, but the physical, intellectual, personality, moral, spiritual, all this combined together will make you into a developed individual, right? And some of the characters of the term development can be: development is a result of experience and maturation. So each time that you experience a new situation or you learn a new thing, then development will occur in you. Okay, and then I also told you that development is a continuous process, right? It is never stopping but continuing all throughout life from womb to tomb. And then it does not halt with puberty. So puberty is the point where you undergo great physical changes in your body, right? So right after that, growth will stop. But here, for development, it does not stop with the onset of puberty, but it will continue even after you attain the puberty stage, right? And then it is predictable and environment plays a dominant role. So the environment that you grow up in, the family that you grow up in, the kind of parents that you have at home, those will shape your development. So it is predictable, okay? And then learning is a presupposition of development. So here it says that the learning experiences that you get from different situations, those will help in your development. And then it is spiral development. So when I say the spiral development, we will go into detail in the later part of the lesson. So I'm just leaving it there. And then adjustment with the environment. Here, adjustment with the environment would mean maturity, okay? How you react to a certain kind of environment or a situation. For that also, we will come in detail later on, right? For you to understand growth and development, it is important to distinguish between what is growth and what is development, okay? So we will try to look into the differences by looking into a chart. So students, if you can look at the chart, here, these characters are for growth and this one is for development, okay? So here, the first character is growth is quantitative. So here, we can measure the quantity of growth. That means we can measure your increase in height, isn't it? That is why growth is quantitative in nature, okay? And for development, development is both quantitative and qualitative. Example, change in manner. So here, for example, we cannot say, I learned 1 kg of manners today or 7 kgs of manners today. We cannot say like that, isn't it? That means we cannot quantify development. But I told you that development is, growth is a part of development. In the process of development, growth plays a small part, right? So development is both quantitative and qualitative. Sometimes you can observe development because the physical aspect, the growth is happening, right? So that's why we can observe, and most of the time we cannot observe, we cannot quantify it. That is why it is qualitative in nature, okay? And if you look into the second character of growth and development, growth is physical. I told you change in your body, the growth or increase in your body height or body weight, all those are physical in nature, isn't it? So growth is physical. And then when you look at development, development refers to all aspects such as physical, mental, emotional, social, cognitive, language development. So all this, that means development is a much more broader aspect than growth. So growth is just a small part of development. So that is what it says here. And then the third one, if you look at the third one, growth stops after a certain time. We already discussed about this, isn't it? After you attain a certain age, your body will stop growing. Development continues till death, so from womb to tomb. That means right from the day that you are conceived in your mother's womb as an embryo, development will start, and then it will continue till the day you die. So that is why we use the phrase to womb to tomb. So it is always continuous, okay? And then the fourth one, growth can be measured. So we can measure the physical aspect like the height, the weight, the size, isn't it? So it can be measured. Development can only be assessed. So here, development can be assessed through keen observation. Okay, so we can evaluate or observe the process of development, but we cannot measure it, right? And then the last one is growth is one of the part of development process. So here, this is a little repetitive with the other points, but we can make, from this point, we can understand the term growth better, right? So that is just one part of the developmental process. And here, development would mean wider and comprehensive. That means comprehensive means very large area. It covers so many areas, so development is very wide. And then overall change in the individual. So overall change like the physical, the mental, the emotional, cognitive, all this development leads to change in the individual, right? Change in behavior or improvement in behavior, right? So that is why wider and comprehensive term. So that is about the differences between growth and development. If you understand this, then any kind of question comes in exam, you'll be able to attempt because you are very clear with the term growth and development, so you can answer the questions in a very comprehensive manner, okay? So now, since we have understood the terms growth and development in a very detailed manner, let us now look into some of the principles of growth and development, okay? In the textbook, they have given 10 principles of growth and development. So the principles of growth and development. Principles of growth and development. Here, there are 10 principles that are given in the textbook, but we must understand a very important thing here. I told you that growth is a very small part of development, isn't it? So most of the principles, they don't focus just on growth, but it focuses mostly on the development part, okay? The 10 principles that are given in the textbook, it focuses mainly on the development part because development is more comprehensive and then development is much more detailed, right? So, and we understand that growth is just a small part of the development process, right? So that is why most of the principles that is given in the textbook focus on development, okay? So let us go into the first principle of development. That is, development is a continuous process. We already learned about this. So it doesn't stop, but it keeps on growing, okay? And then, if you look into the second paragraph of your textbook, the fact that development is continuous emphasizes the point that each stage of development has its foundation built upon a preceding stage and has a definite influence on the succeeding stage too. So this is a very important statement. I'll try to simplify it for you. I'll give you an example. Past, present, and then future. So you all know what is past, the present, and the future, right? So past here would mean when you were a baby or a small child. That is your past life, isn't it? And then the present one will be the one that you are right now. You're in class 12, you have reached adolescent stage, right? So after that, it'll be the next phase that you will face is the future, right? So all these are interconnected with one another. The experiences, the things that we experience in life, the changes that occur in our life is because of the connection between our past, our future, our present, and then our future. So we cannot say, we should ignore our past life and then focus just on the present and the future. We cannot say like that. All the behavioral changes, all the things that we learn, all those are related to our past, present, and future. So this is a very important thing that we must understand when we say that development is a continuous process. So that is the first principle. And if you look into your textbook, students, if you look into the last paragraph of your textbook, the life of an individual can be divided into the following major developmental periods. So this is very important. The prenatal period from conception to birth. So here, prenatal would mean not from the time that you are born, but from the embryo, right from the day that you were conceived in your mother's womb. Okay, so that is the prenatal period. From there, from conception to the day that you were born. So that is your prenatal period. And the next period is neonatal period. Here, this would mean the first 2 weeks of your life. From the day that you were born until 14 days, that means 2 weeks, right? So the first 2 weeks of your life is known as the neonatal period, okay? And then you come to babyhood. Here, babyhood would mean the first 2 years of your life after 2 weeks, okay? So that is your babyhood period. And then the next one is early childhood. So early childhood is from 2 to 6 years of your life, okay? So that is your early childhood. Late childhood here would mean from 6 years until you reach the age of 13 years, okay? And then right now you are in the adolescent stage, isn't it? So in some textbooks it is given till 18 years and in some it's given 19, but actually adolescence starts from the teen years, that is 13 to 19 years of age. So that is your adolescent period, and right now we understand that you are in the adolescent stage, isn't it? And then after that will come the adulthood. So here, adulthood would start from age 20 till the day that you die or till the day that you live on this earth. That will be your adult life, okay? So today, we have looked into the first principle of growth and development. See, there are so many principles in the book that is given. So if you learn all the principles in just one class, then you'll get more confused. So today we will learn till there, and the things that we learned today, if you look at a quick recap, then you learn about the meaning of growth, isn't it? And then you understood what is development. Development is much more wider than growth. And then you also understood that growth and development are related, right? And then one thing I want to mention here is that because of growth and development, maturation occurs, okay? Maturation will come after you attain growth and development. So here, maturation in very simple language would mean the way that you react to a certain situation, okay? So if you have attained growth and you understand social, mental, cognitive abilities that you have, then it will help you to react to a certain situation, so you are becoming more mature. Okay, so that is maturation. And then for the principles of growth and development, we understood that most of the principles are focused on the development part, okay? And the first principle was growth and development is a continuous process, right? So for the later part of the next part of the principles, we will continue in the next class. Thank you so much.